For 13.8 billion years, the universe has expanded in silence. Stars were born, burned fiercely, and faded away like candles lost in an endless ocean of night. On each of those rays of light, there may once have been life, other eyes that looked up at their own skies, wondering the same question we still ask: is anyone out there? Yet across the vast span of time, only Earth, a tiny speck of dust in the dark, has known that it is alive. Astronomers turn their telescopes toward the heavens, trying to capture faint signals from distant places. Scientists listen to radio waves, hoping to hear a sound that doesn't belong to humanity. And we, sitting beneath our roofs, still gaze at the stars just as our ancestors once did. Not because we expect an answer, but because we feel that something or someone might be waiting in that darkness. A presence, vague yet familiar. Maybe they're still out there, silently watching, waiting for the moment we become wise enough to notice. Since the dawn of civilization, that question has haunted us. Humans built pyramids pointing toward the skies, carved strange figures into stone, and told myths about gods who came from the stars. The story carried through every culture, from the ancient tribes of Central America to moonlit nights over the Egyptian desert. They never understood why, only that the feeling never truly faded. Today, science has replaced myth, but the curiosity remains untouched. Modern telescopes sweep across the Milky Way, discovering thousands of planets within the zone where life could exist, worlds with oceans, air, and the gentle warmth of their own suns. Each new discovery feels like humanity's heartbeat quickening, as if we're just one step away from finding them. But the silence lingers. No signals, no replies, only the echo of our own voice returning from the void. It makes many wonder whether we've been searching in the wrong places, or whether other civilizations are deliberately hiding. Maybe they don't want to be found, or maybe they were once here, long before we ever looked up. In our modern age, that question has become both scientific and deeply human. Space missions reach farther than ever before, sending unmanned probes beyond our solar system. Inside them lies the message of humanity: images, sounds, greetings, meant for anyone who might find them. A gesture both brave and lonely, like tossing a glass bottle into an infinite sea. Centuries have passed since we first began this search. Even without proof, belief in life beyond Earth endures. Not only in movies or books, but deep in our hearts, the part of us that refuses to accept life as a mere accident. Because when we look at the night sky, we feel something beyond science, an intuition that the universe cannot be meant for us alone. Somewhere in a distant corner of the galaxy, another civilization might be looking back at us. Maybe they're wondering too, asking the same question we've asked for ages. Across thousands of light years, two worlds may be staring at each other, unaware that both are waiting for an answer. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence isn't just about finding life, it's about finding ourselves. Every step we take into the cosmos is also a step inward, reflecting on what it means to be human, small, curious, yet astonishingly resilient. And perhaps through that journey, we'll realize that the question, "Are we alone?" isn't only about what lies out there, but also a reminder of what it means to exist here among the stars that quietly watch us back. There are moments that make all of humanity hold its breath. A streak of light cuts across the sky, shifts direction in an instant, and disappears without a trace. A seasoned pilot returns from a mission, his face pale, insisting that what he saw obeyed no law of physics. From secret reports and blurry footage to the testimonies mocked by skeptics, all of it forms an unbroken chain of mystery known by one name: UFOs. In 1947, a dry storm swept across the desert of Roswell, New Mexico. A local rancher discovered strange metallic debris scattered across his field after a night when an unusual light tore through the sky. Days later, the US military collected every piece and announced it was a flying disc. But only a day after, they retracted the statement, claiming it was merely a weather balloon. The story was buried, but suspicion had already caught fire. From that moment on, Roswell was no longer just a small town. It became a symbol of what is hidden. The story spread like wildfire, transforming into a modern myth. Newspapers, movies, and novels fanned the flames of imagination. Each time a strange light appeared in the night sky, thousands of eyes turned upward. People began to believe that something beyond our understanding was unfolding quietly, deliberately, with purpose. Decades passed, and the world witnessed thousands of reports of unidentified flying objects. Most were eventually explained: weather balloons, satellites, experimental aircraft, or mere illusions. But a small fraction defied explanation, standing firm against logic. In recent years, the US Navy has released mysterious footage recorded by fighter pilots. Spherical or triangular objects moved at speeds many times faster than sound, without wings, engines, or heat signatures, changing direction instantaneously in ways that broke the laws of inertia. These publicly released UFO videos shook the world. Pilots who witnessed them firsthand swore, "I've never seen anything move like that." For the first time, the US government admitted that there were aerial phenomena whose origins could not be identified. A small door creaked open, revealing a labyrinth far larger than anyone had imagined. Many theories have emerged in an attempt to explain them. Some sound reasonable, others read like science fiction, yet they all share one thing: they exist because nothing has yet been proven for sure. The first and most popular theory suggests UFOs come from beyond Earth. These crafts might have traveled light years to reach us, piloted by advanced civilizations from other star systems. Some point to Proxima Centauri, the nearest star to our solar system, which hosts a planet within the habitable zone. Others think further, believing they come from the galactic core, where young stars burn brighter and energy flows more fiercely. According to this idea, they could be observing humanity, evaluating us, or studying the evolution of a newly awakened intelligent species. But some believe the answer lies much closer, beneath our very feet. The cryptoterrestrial theory proposes that Earth hosts more than one intelligent civilization. Long before humans could write, there may have existed another sentient species, descendants of some ancient lineage, now living deep underground or hidden in the ocean's depths. With advanced technology, they might still be monitoring the surface world, occasionally leaving traces that we mistake for extraterrestrial visitors. The vastness of the oceans and the uncharted caverns below make this idea difficult to dismiss entirely. Another group holds an even stranger belief. UFOs, they say, aren't physical crafts from another planet at all, but entities from other dimensions. According to interdimensional theory, our universe is just one thin layer among countless parallel realities. These beings may be able to cross between dimensions, appearing briefly before vanishing again, leaving only a flash of light or a fleeting shadow. In their view, UFOs are the result of two worlds brushing against each other for a split second. Then comes a theory that feels uncomfortably close to home. UFOs are us, from the future. After thousands of years of evolution, our descendants may have mastered time travel, returning to the past to observe their ancestors, record history, or correct mistakes. The thin bodies, large heads, and oversized eyes often described in alien encounters might not belong to creatures from another world at all, but to humans who have evolved far beyond our current form. Finally, there's the most grounded yet suspicious theory. UFOs are top-secret military technology. Throughout the 20th century, nations constantly experimented with new aircraft, missiles, and weapons, many with bizarre shapes, extraordinary speed, and glowing appearances. Governments may have hidden these projects to protect their secrets, letting the public mistake them for alien craft. But what's more unsettling is that some objects remain unidentified even by the authorities themselves, which means perhaps someone or something else is testing technology above our skies. All these theories coexist, intertwining fragments of truth and mystery. Science tries to explain them through data, physics, and technology, while human imagination races far ahead, reaching places reason cannot yet touch. The deeper we dig, the more layers of enigma appear. Some cases are backed by radar, cameras, and hundreds of eyewitnesses. Yet to this day, no one can say with certainty what truly flies above us. The story of UFOs is not just about strange lights in the sky, but about a profound human longing to know that we are not alone in the cosmos. Each anomaly rekindles that emotion, a fragile blend of fear and hope. Some see a sign of connection, others a warning. But one thing is clear: UFOs have forever changed the way we see ourselves. Perhaps what makes UFOs so haunting isn't that we fear the unknown, but that deep down we sense how small we truly are in a much greater story. Maybe, somewhere out there, a civilization is watching us through their own lens. Or maybe they're simply a reflection of our own endless curiosity, the very spark that makes us look up, knowing the answer may forever remain out of reach. Among countless theories, only one thing is certain. UFOs are no longer a joke, no longer the fantasies of dreamers. They are a part of a grand mystery humanity has yet to close, and that mystery drifts quietly through time, like a distant star, urging us to keep looking up, to keep searching, even if what we seek may never be found. To truly understand UFOs, we must look further into the levels of civilization itself and the role humanity plays within each one. In 1964, Russian astronomer Nikolai Kardashev proposed a simple yet profoundly evocative idea. He believed that the greatness of a civilization should not be measured by the number of its cities or the height of its towers, but by the amount of energy it can harness. In the universe, energy is the universal language of life. It defines how much control a species has over its world, its ability to reshape nature, explore the cosmos, and even determine how it continues to exist. From this idea, Kardashev created a scale, a way to classify civilizations based on how much energy they can utilize. The more energy a civilization can command, the closer it moves toward mastering the entire universe. By that standard, humanity ranks only at about 0.7 on the Kardashev scale, meaning we have yet to fully control even the energy of our own planet. We still rely on fragmented sources: wind, sunlight, coal, oil, nuclear power, none of which are unified or efficient enough to claim mastery over Earth. Yet, Kardashev didn't stop there. He envisioned what might lie ahead, levels of civilization so far beyond human imagination that they border on the divine. A Type 1 civilization would be capable of harnessing all the energy available on its home planet. Every gust of wind, every ray of sunlight, every wave in the ocean would be captured and converted to power its growth. Waste would no longer exist, every resource would flow in perfect balance, and nature itself would become part of a grand coordinated system. Such a civilization could control the weather, prevent earthquakes, redirect hurricanes, even decide when it rains. Their planet would no longer be ruled by nature. It would act as an extension of collective will. To reach that stage, humanity would need more than technology. We would need unity, a civilization capable of cooperation, one that prioritizes the common good over conflict. Because to capture a planet's full energy, every system must function as one living organism. Some believe that is the true challenge of our species, not traveling to the stars, but learning to work together as one. The next step is a Type 2 civilization, one that has exhausted the resources of its planet and turned its gaze toward its star. That star, like our sun, becomes its eternal source of life. To harness it, such beings might construct enormous structures encircling the star, known as energy spheres, or Dyson spheres. These megastructures would absorb its light and convert it into usable power, a feat of engineering so vast it would dwarf any concept of construction we know. It's difficult to imagine the scale of such a project. A civilization capable of building one would need the resources of hundreds of planets and the coordination of millions of years. Yet, in theory, it's possible. Astronomers have even observed strange stars whose light flickers in unusual ways, as if something colossal is partially blocking them. Some scientists have quietly wondered whether these could be traces of such energy spheres, the silent fingerprints of a Type 2 civilization working around its star. Beyond that lies the realm of the Type 3 civilization, a level that touches the limits of human imagination. At this stage, a species would not just draw power from a planet or a star, but from an entire galaxy. They could harness the energy of billions of suns, travel between star systems faster than light, and create vast networks of knowledge spanning interstellar distances. With such power, they might reshape the structure of galaxies themselves, create new stars, prevent supernovae, even guide the course of life across thousands of light years. Civilizations at that level might have transcended physical form entirely. They could exist as collective consciousnesses, oceans of information flowing across the cosmos. From their perspective, humanity would appear as a faint flicker of fireflies in the night, a young and fragile form of life just beginning to awaken. But Kardashev's imagination reached even further, to Types 4, V, and even 6. These civilizations would not only rule galaxies, but entire universes. They could create new universes in laboratories, manipulate matter, energy, space, and time itself. For them, death might not be an end, but a transformation between states of existence. At this point, the line between science and mythology would blur, as their power would surpass anything a finite mind could comprehend. Some have said that if a Type 4 civilization exists, we would never know it. They could exist right beside us, operating at energy levels or dimensions far beyond our perception. They wouldn't need to hide, because our senses simply couldn't detect them. As we peer into the night sky through telescopes, they might be watching us in return, from outside space and time, observing every planet, every living thing, as easily as we might watch waves move across the sea. What's worth reflecting on is that each step up this cosmic ladder isn't just about technology, it's about consciousness. As civilizations evolve, they learn not just to consume energy, but to exist in harmony with it, becoming one with the cosmic flow. True advancement isn't measured only in power, but in understanding and wisdom. Humanity still stands on the first rungs of that ladder. Yet it's our longing to transcend our limits that makes us unique. Only when we see the mountain ahead do we begin to climb. Perhaps in thousands of years, we'll ascend to the first true step, mastering our planet's energy. Or perhaps we'll stop before we ever reach it, trapped by our own flaws and divisions. Whatever the outcome, the Kardashev scale changes how we see the universe. It reminds us that life's potential stretches far beyond our imagination, and that somewhere in the endless dark, civilizations far older and wiser may already exist. Perhaps they've left traces, a strange glimmer of light, an irregular signal, a planet that reflects starlight in impossible ways. Maybe we've already seen them, without realizing what we were looking at. In the vast silence of the cosmos, that thought lingers like a whisper. Maybe the visitors we've been searching for aren't far away at all. Maybe they've already passed by, leaving footprints made of light, while humanity still gazes upward, unaware that it has already brushed against the miraculous. There are nights when everything falls silent, yet Earth's observatories never sleep. They open their giant metal ears to the cosmos, listening to the endless void, hoping to catch a sound that doesn't belong to humankind. For decades, people have done this, sending signals, waiting, listening, and sending again. That project is called SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Scientists have aimed their antennas toward the sky, scanning thousands of stars, listening for frequencies that no natural process could produce. They hope that somewhere out there, another civilization is doing the same, sending signals into the dark, waiting for someone to answer. It's a quest both romantic and lonely. Two souls adrift in the vastness of space, trying to find each other through invisible waves crossing time itself. But after all these years, there's only been silence. No hello, no strange pulse. It's as if the universe is holding its breath. That silence has made some wonder whether we're searching the wrong way. Maybe aliens don't speak through radio waves. Maybe they've moved far beyond that stage, using something subtler, more efficient, something we can't even recognize. Like fish at the bottom of the ocean, we listen to waves but don't realize there's an entire world above the surface, full of signals we'll never hear. If there are civilizations more advanced than ours, perhaps they don't communicate through sound or electromagnetic waves at all, but through light, fields of energy, or even forms of consciousness we can't yet comprehend. In that case, we might be seeing them every day without knowing it. Some astronomers believe that to detect intelligent life, we shouldn't listen for sound, but look for what seems unnatural. Because intelligence, wherever it exists, leaves behind patterns of order. A lone rock in the desert is natural, but a perfectly stacked stone atop a pyramid is not. Perhaps the signature of alien civilizations lies not in sound, but in light, in stars that flicker oddly, in regions of space radiating strange energy, in shadows that move against every law of physics. Somewhere among the billions of stars, there may be structures so immense that even the universe itself seems to bow to them. Scientists have long imagined something called a stellar energy shell. Picture a civilization so advanced that its planet no longer provides enough energy. To survive, they build vast panels orbiting their sun, harvesting light and turning it into power for their entire system. Such a structure would surround the star completely, dimming or altering its light. To an observer from afar, that star might appear to flicker or fade, a subtle clue that its brilliance is being harnessed by minds not of this world. And beyond those stars, there could be floating cities, enormous cylindrical worlds spinning slowly through the void, filled with land, water, artificial skies, and millions of inhabitants. In zero gravity, they would no longer need planets. Space itself would be home. They would drift across the cosmos like glowing specks of pollen carried by an eternal wind. Farther out still, they might have built mining stations on distant moons, extracting rare minerals or unknown sources of energy. From Earth, we'd see only faint glimmers, strange movements in the dark, perhaps just machines working silently in alien nights. Some physicists even imagine space-time gates, places where matter can move instantly from one point to another, tunnels through reality itself. If such technology exists, these beings could have built vast networks connecting entire star systems. For them, the distance of light years would mean nothing, just a step across the threshold. To us, it would look like a brief flash, a momentary spark, before vanishing again into nothing. There might even be ships so enormous they bend light around them, making observers mistake them for stars. Pilots on Earth might look up and see a glowing point dart across the sky, change direction, and disappear. While to those on the other side, it's nothing more than a routine voyage through our corner of space, carrying travelers we will never meet. These ideas sound distant, almost like dreams, but they're far from impossible. The universe is nearly 14 billion years old, while humanity has existed for only a few thousand. If a civilization had even a million-year head start, what would they look like now? Their technology would seem so miraculous that we might call it divine. We don't know where they are, but maybe they've already left traces behind. Maybe the dimming of a star in rhythmic patterns is a signal. Maybe the dark patches between stars hide their grandest creations. Maybe the bursts of light our telescopes capture are words in a language we've yet to understand. When we look up at the night sky, we see countless points of light. But among them, some may not be stars at all. They might shine not from fusion, but from the hands of beings who once dared to dream. If such works exist, they are the whispers of cosmic intelligence, proof of how far life itself can reach. Humanity keeps searching, patient as someone standing on a beach, listening for echoes across the waves. Perhaps we'll never hear an answer. Yet every time we gaze into that silent expanse, we're reminded that we're staring into possibility itself. Because within that silence, one thing never fades: the belief that intelligence, wherever it exists, always leaves behind its light. The signs of life may not be found in sound or written words, but in the ways the universe changes itself. Every flicker, every shadow that moves without cause, every burst of unexplainable energy, they're all clues. Maybe we've already seen them, just not understood. And when that moment of realization comes, when humanity finally understands that it was never alone, perhaps the night sky will glow a little brighter. Not because of a new star, but because we've come to see ourselves more clearly. When we look up at the night sky, we see countless tiny points of light, quietly shining with energy that left them millions of years ago. Each one is a star, and around many of them, planets may be circling just like Earth orbits the sun. Among those billions of stars, some worlds lie at just the right distance, not too close to be scorched, not too far to freeze. Astronomers call this the habitable zone. It's where liquid water can exist, where an atmosphere can endure, where life might take root, evolve, and one day learn to gaze up at the heavens and wonder about its own existence. Those planets might cradle newborn life, or civilizations so advanced that we could only describe them as mythic. Somewhere out there, a planet may be spinning beneath the faint red glow of its sun, where rain made of acid is not a symbol of destruction, but the beginning of a new kind of evolution. Some of these habitable worlds are known as super-Earths, larger than our planet, several times its mass, wrapped in atmospheres so thick that light passes through like mist. The pressure and gravity there would be immense, forcing every living thing to adapt. Plants might grow short and sturdy, their roots gripping the dense, moist soil. Creatures would move slowly, with compact bodies built to withstand the crushing weight. Yet such an environment would be calm, shielded from radiation and meteor strikes by layers of gas. In those steady conditions, life could flourish for hundreds of millions of years, evolving in quiet continuity. Then there are the twin Earths, planets that mirror our own. They share a similar size, orbit, temperature, and even atmospheric makeup. When telescopes catch their light, we see hints of blue, white, and brown, signs of water, clouds, and land. Every time we find one, humanity stirs with emotion because it reminds us of home, a place where life might have blossomed or is just beginning its story. Somewhere out there, intelligent beings could be looking up at their own night sky, wondering if someone is watching back. But not all living worlds need land. Some planets are completely covered by ocean. No continents, no mountains, no forests, just endless water stretching from pole to pole, plunging hundreds of kilometers deep. Beneath those waves, the pressure is so high that metals soften, and sunlight never reaches the bottom. Down there, life doesn't need a sky. It thrives around towering hydrothermal vents, where energy from the planet's core fuels the first living forms. Scientists call them ocean planets, vast, boundless seas. Water is the cradle of life, so in such places it might exist in greater abundance than anywhere else. Beneath the dark blue surface, glowing creatures could drift through the depths, communicating with echoes, sensing the world through electric fields instead of words. Their intelligence wouldn't reach toward the stars, but dive into the abyss, seeking the secrets of their world below. One imagined planet like this has a name, Aquilus. On Aquilus, life began in the ocean, evolving over billions of years into beings capable of shaping currents and using other organisms as tools. They resemble dolphins in form, flexible, graceful, and keenly intelligent, living in close-knit communities. Instead of building houses, they grow coral. Instead of forging metal, they cultivate materials from algae and marine life. Every piece of their technology is alive, not mechanical. Their civilization is a living ecosystem where everything breathes together in rhythm. Picture a city beneath the sea. No walls, no streets, only shimmering streams of blue light weaving through the dark. Massive coral towers rise like soft spires, glowing gently, radiating energy to nearby dwellings. Creatures coexist in harmony, connected through sound waves, understanding one another through emotions carried by water. There is no war, no smoke, only music. A civilization of the ocean, where nature and technology are one, where intelligence evolves in balance with life itself. On Aquilus, the idea of existence is unlike anything humans know. They don't build to conquer, but to preserve. Every structure is a living being, every machine a body with purpose. The entire planet functions as a single organism, its energy shared through a web of biology. When they need to travel, they don't construct metal ships. They nurture massive sea creatures capable of gliding through the depths. Their technology is cooperation, not domination. Nothing is wasted. There is no word for trash. If humanity ever reached such a world, we might not even recognize it as a civilization. There would be no towers, no artificial light, no trace of industry. Only the ocean, deep, blue, and still. But if we listened closely, we might hear the rhythms of their communication, the patterns of their songs, the harmony beneath the waves. The entire sea would be a network of knowledge, every creature a node in a vast exchange of understanding. It's fascinating, because even on Earth, the oceans cover most of our planet, yet we know so little about them. The deep remains a mystery, filled with unseen life. Perhaps to distant observers, Earth itself already looks like an Aquilus, a blue world adrift in space, where a young intelligence is just learning to listen to its own heartbeat. When we think about worlds that could harbor life, we realize the universe never repeats itself. Every planet is nature's own experiment, a unique canvas of how life might emerge. Some depend on sunlight, others on heat, some on chemistry alone. Somewhere, there could be a world without water or oxygen, yet still alive, in ways we can't yet imagine. When we talk about a habitable planet, perhaps we're only describing life as we understand it. The universe, vast and diverse beyond comprehension, may hold infinite forms of existence, worlds utterly unlike Earth, yet rich with memory, emotion, and thought. In the end, our search for life is also a search for new ways to live. Planets like Aquilus are more than scientific dreams. They are reflections of our deepest hopes, that somewhere there exists a world that has learned to live in harmony, not in conflict with nature. The starry night above us is not just a view to admire, but an invitation. Every star is an unanswered question, every planet a possibility. And perhaps one day, when our telescopes are strong enough, when our patience is deep enough, we'll discover another blue world where the oceans can speak, the stones can breathe, and intelligence has learned to fall silent just to hear the heartbeat of the cosmos. There are stories that humanity can never forget, even after thousands of years. They are scattered across the planet, etched into stone, drawn across the earth, or whispered through the collective memory of mankind. When pieced together, they form a mysterious map, a quiet suggestion that maybe, long ago, someone else was here. In the southern deserts of Peru lies one of the most baffling mysteries of our world, the Nazca Lines. Across the barren sands stretch enormous figures that can only be seen from the sky. Hundreds of shapes, birds, monkeys, serpents, flowers, span over miles of desert, with perfectly straight lines running endlessly toward the horizon. No one truly knows how the ancient Nazca people created them. Many of these lines are so vast that their full form is invisible from the ground, only revealing itself when viewed from above. The question is, who were they meant for? 2,000 years ago, a humble agricultural civilization with no airplanes, no balloons, somehow carved out designs that can only be appreciated from hundreds of feet in the air. Some say they're celestial maps, others claim they were ritual sites. But there are also those who believe these were messages, signals sent skyward, or perhaps landing markers for visitors from far away. What makes the Nazca Lines truly haunting isn't just their scale, but their precision. Some lines run perfectly straight for miles without a single deviation. The desert soil is hard, unforgiving, yet the lines have survived millennia, as if someone intended them to last long enough to be rediscovered. Under moonlight, the patterns shimmer faintly, evoking the image of an ancient airfield or a cosmic chart. Maybe they were humanity's greeting to the heavens, or perhaps a relic of a forgotten encounter between Earth and the stars. Far to the south, in Zimbabwe, on a quiet morning in 1994, 62 schoolchildren were playing outside when they saw something strange. A shiny metallic object hovered in the distance before descending near the schoolyard. From it emerged small beings, thin, gray, with large heads and dark eyes. They didn't speak, but simply watched. The children said they felt something inside their minds, a presence communicating not through words, but through emotion. When investigators arrived, every child told the same story. The lights, the fear, the strange calm. Years later, those children, now adults, still remember it vividly, their accounts unchanged. The event became one of the most studied close encounters in history. Psychologists, scientists, and UFO researchers all tried to explain it, yet no one could. It baffled everyone. These children had no reason to lie, no exposure to movies or media that could have influenced them. The honesty in their voices carried something unsettlingly real, something that defied easy explanation. Perhaps it was a shared hallucination. Or perhaps, in that fleeting moment, humanity was seen through the eyes of another world. Across the ocean, in the American Southwest, a man named Bob Lazar shook the world in the late 1980s. He claimed to have worked at a secret facility known as S4, near the infamous Area 51 in Nevada. According to him, the site housed 9 unidentified craft, not of earthly origin. His job, he said, was to study their propulsion systems, powered by a form of energy beyond anything humans had ever developed. Lazar described the crafts in remarkable detail, their shape, their structure, even the exotic material they used, an element he called Element 115. At the time, this element didn't officially exist, and many dismissed him as a hoaxer. But decades later, scientists did confirm the discovery of Element 115, suddenly breathing new life into his claims. Though no one has ever proven Lazar's story true, parts of it align with accounts from others who've worked in classified projects. He insisted that the government was reverse engineering alien technology, hiding knowledge far beyond our current science. Whether truth or fabrication, his testimony ignited a wave of public skepticism and fascination, forcing people to reconsider what might lie behind the locked doors of military secrecy. Maybe he was just a gifted storyteller, or maybe he was the first to step out from behind the wall of silence surrounding a hidden reality. From the deserts of Nazca to the laboratories of Nevada, Earth seems scattered with traces that refuse to be fully explained. Some are coincidences, others misunderstandings, but a few remain poised on the line between myth and truth. The more we try to explain them, the more we sense something vast, complex, and beyond human comprehension. Some even suggest that these visitors didn't come from the stars at all, but from the past. Perhaps they were the remnants of an ancient civilization that rose to unimaginable heights before vanishing from history. The name that echoes through legend is Atlantis, the island said to have sunk beneath the sea. According to myth, the Atlanteans possessed extraordinary science and technology, able to harness crystal energy, control the weather, and communicate through thought alone. Maybe Atlantis wasn't a myth, but a distant memory, a warning from a time when humanity reached too high and fell by its own pride. If so, the beings we now call aliens might be fragments of our own forgotten past, the ancestors who surpassed us and returned to watch their descendants evolve. From Nazca to Zimbabwe, from the Nevada desert to the depths of the sea where Atlantis might rest, all these stories share something in common. They remind us how small we are, how little we truly understand. Whether true or imagined, they leave cracks in the walls of our reason. Through those cracks, curiosity seeps in. Perhaps that's their purpose, to make us ask the question that keeps humanity moving forward. Are we really the only ones who ever called this planet home? Maybe the most unsettling thought isn't that someone once came here, but that they never left. Maybe they're still here, hidden in the oceans, the mountains, or dimensions beyond our perception. Watching us, as we might watch creatures behind glass, silent and patient, waiting for us to grow wise enough to understand. Stories of alien encounters, whether fact or fiction, give the night sky a pulse. Deep down, we all want to believe that the universe is more than what we see, that something magnificent still awaits discovery. The question of whether they've been here may never be answered, but the very act of asking it brings us closer to understanding ourselves, a species defined by its endless hunger to seek what lies beyond the horizon of knowledge. Perhaps it's all just legend. Yet even so, we still look up at the stars, watching their ancient light fall upon our world like faint echoes of the universe's memory. And in that light, for a brief moment, it feels as if someone once stood here, long ago, looking up too, wondering the very same thing we wonder now. When we think of aliens, the mind conjures up a familiar image: large heads, black eyes, gray skin, hairless bodies, slender forms. That picture has been etched deep into our collective imagination through movies, books, and legends. But if life truly thrives across the cosmos, must all beings look so strange to us? Or perhaps somewhere among the stars there exist faces that quietly mirror our own? Science has a name for this: convergent evolution, when life in entirely different environments develops similar traits to adapt to the same conditions. On Earth, dolphins, penguins, and sharks all share sleek bodies, horizontal tails, and large eyes, even though they're not closely related. That shape is simply the best solution for moving through water. So maybe across the universe, evolution follows similar paths, repeating forms that have already proven their worth. If that's true, then the humanoid form, 2 arms, 2 legs, an upright posture, a head on top, senses gathered in front, may not be a coincidence, but a logical design born from necessity. Standing tall allows one to see farther. Free hands create tools. Nimble fingers invent. Intelligence pairs with dexterity, and civilization follows. Perhaps among the billions of planets, countless civilizations share our shape, not because they are human, but because nature found the same solution for evolving a thinking mind. Yet differences begin the moment environments change. On a planet with twice Earth's gravity, standing upright would be nearly impossible. Bones must be thicker, muscles denser, bodies shorter to resist pressure. Beings there would be solid and compact, their frames shaped by the crushing weight of their own world. Their skin might darken to block radiation. Their eyes grow smaller to handle harsh light. They wouldn't need speed, but endurance. Their steps would be slow, deliberate, like giant miners wandering through a realm of stone. In their dense atmosphere, sound would travel sluggishly, making speech difficult. They might communicate through flashes of light, shifting colors, or subtle vibrations. Their language could be a ripple of hues across the skin or pulses in the air perceptible only to them. Such a civilization might build their cities underground, channeling energy and light through glowing veins of mineral crystal. Everything would feel heavy, steady, and silent, like the slow breath of a planet that never sleeps. On the opposite end, a world with low gravity would be a dreamscape. Air would be thin, skies transparent, light diffused everywhere. There, creatures wouldn't need sturdy bodies, but fluid, flexible ones to drift through layers of atmosphere. They might be tall and slender, with hollow bones and translucent skin that lets sunlight pass through. Some might even float, gliding effortlessly on gossamer membranes, drawing energy from the sun or magnetic currents of their world. These beings would move as if dancing, softly, weightlessly, never touching the ground. Their eyes would be large to drink in faint light, their ears wide to feel each whisper of wind. Their voices might sound like the breeze sighing through stone, echoing, melodic, ethereal. They might not build homes at all, but live among clouds of gas, gathering energy from sunlight and air currents. Such a civilization would know no war, no borders, only ripples of light carrying messages across the open sky. Between these two extremes, one world heavy, one world light, could exist endless variations, countless forms of consciousness. On some planets, dim suns might breed creatures with vast black eyes that mirror deep lakes, where vision is survival. On others, there might be no night or day, only the dull red glow of a dying star, and so the skin of life would shine like mirrors to reflect the heat away. In frigid worlds of methane skies, life could hide within ice, speaking through vibrations too low for humans to hear. Yet, all of these possibilities share one truth. None defy the laws of nature. They are merely different paths of the same grand principle, the persistence of life, its hunger to adapt, to awaken, to look up at its own sky and wonder about the stars. Somewhere out there, perhaps life has evolved beyond the need for flesh entirely. Beings of pure energy, drifting through magnetic fields, moving by thought alone. They do not speak or see, but merge their minds with the frequencies of the cosmos itself. For them, form has lost meaning. They appear as light, as mist, as the whisper of an idea passing through eternity. When humans gaze into the night, many like to believe such entities might be us, a glimpse of our distant future, where biology fuses with technology, where bodies are no longer prisons but temporary expressions of consciousness. Those deep black eyes, described in countless UFO encounters, might not belong to strangers at all, but to the remnants of humanity, reshaped by millions of years in the dark silence of space, where sunlight is a memory and starlight the only guide. It's a haunting thought that we are not alone, but that the others are ourselves, in another form, another time, like reflections in water, distorted yet familiar. Perhaps they too gaze toward Earth, seeing a small blue world where young life is just beginning to stretch its mind toward the cosmos. What makes us human is not our shape, but our ability to recognize ourselves in the vastness. We imagine beings with great eyes and strange forms, but maybe the deeper connection lies in the shared desire to understand, to connect, to exist. Every civilization, wherever it may be, might one day ask the same question. Who are we in this endless sea of stars? Under the light of distant suns, where matter and thought blur into one, the image of an alien might not be alien at all. They could be what we once were, or what we are destined to become, fellow travelers on the same path toward knowledge, freedom, and meaning. And when we finally meet them, we might not see monsters or gods, but our own reflection, stretched across 1,000,000 years of evolution, across countless worlds, along roads humanity has yet to walk. In their deep, black eyes, perhaps we'll glimpse the question we've been asking all along. Who are we, truly, beneath this infinite sky? On a quiet night, beneath a sky full of stars, humanity has often sent its greetings beyond the boundaries of its world. From small transmitters scattered across Earth, faint radio signals have been launched into the cosmic void, carrying a simple hope that somewhere, among the vast and endless galaxies, someone might hear us. That was the beginning of a mission called MEDI, Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence, or more simply, our attempt to say hello to the unknown. But behind that gesture lies a haunting question. Should we be doing this at all? Because when we send a signal, we are not just searching, we are revealing ourselves. We are announcing to the universe, we are here, we exist. The physicist Stephen Hawking once warned, if you look at history, Whenever a less advanced civilization encountered a more advanced one, the outcome was never good for the weaker. He cautioned that while we still struggle to live peacefully on the same planet, reaching out to beings capable of crossing the stars might be an act of reckless curiosity. Imagine the universe as a dark forest. Every civilization is a silent hunter, watching, listening, afraid to make a sound. No one dares to move because any noise could draw attention, not from a friend, but from a predator. When METI sends its messages, it's as if humanity has just shouted into that forest. We're saying, here is life, here is technology, here is energy. The question is, who will answer? Some scientists argue that the chances of being detected are incredibly low. Radio signals are weak, losing strength as they travel, reaching only a few hundred light years at most. But that assumption is based on our technology. For a civilization millions of years ahead, detecting our signals might be as easy as spotting a candle flickering in the dark. A civilization of Kardashev Type 3, one that harnesses the energy of an entire galaxy, would possess power beyond human comprehension. They could control light, bend space, or erase entire worlds simply by redirecting a star's radiation. Such power needs no weapons, only intent. If such beings exist, they may have already seen Earth long ago. They could have watched us since before humans discovered fire. They would know that we're evolving, growing louder, brighter, sending out more and more signals. The lights of our cities, the waves of our satellites, all together painting a vivid portrait of humanity against the canvas of space. But what if they don't like what they see? A superior civilization might treat us the way we treat bacteria, not out of hatred, but self-preservation. A single burst of energy from thousands of light years away could scorch our atmosphere, melt the surface, and turn Earth to ash before we even understood what had happened. Yet destruction might not be the only danger. Perhaps they wouldn't annihilate us, but observe us, in ways we cannot detect. Maybe they've already sent forms of matter we fail to recognize, like alien microbes carried on meteorites. A small rock falling through our atmosphere could bring life forms invisible to us, with no natural defenses in our biology. They wouldn't need to attack, just exist to unravel the balance of life on Earth. Some even suggest the threat might come not from annihilation, but from intervention. A higher civilization might choose to guide us, much as humans cultivate a garden. Perhaps they've already sown seeds of knowledge throughout our history. Sudden leaps in progress, unexplainable bursts of genius. Maybe they're steering humanity along a path we don't even realize we're walking. If that's true, then our signals are nothing more than a child shouting into the sky, unaware that the giants have been standing around us all along, just quietly watching, not yet answering. Another danger lies within ourselves. Once a signal is sent, it cannot be unsent. We don't know who will receive it, how long it will travel, or how it might be interpreted. A message written with curiosity and goodwill could be taken as a threat or a declaration of war. In space, there are no shared languages, no universal symbols. A circle might mean hello to us, but territory claimed to someone else. And then there's the risk no one talks about, curiosity itself. Humanity isn't just sending signals, we're listening too. Observatories like Arecibo and the Allen Array are constantly scanning the skies. One day, if a genuine signal is confirmed, the world could change in an instant. Religions would tremble. Governments would fight to control the narrative. Some would be terrified, others would worship, and many would lose faith entirely. A world as fragile as ours might not survive the shock. In a single moment, we'd realize we are not the center of the universe, not its brightest mind, just a drop of water in an endless cosmic sea. Hawking once said, "Sending messages into space is like turning on a flashlight in the middle of a dark forest, not knowing what's out there." His words were not a prohibition, but a reminder that before reaching out to others, humanity must first learn to live in peace with itself. If we cannot love our own kind, how could we hope to speak to another species without fear or conflict? Still, one truth remains hard to deny. Our longing to know we're not alone is stronger than our fear. Every signal we send is not just a broadcast, it's an echo of the human heart. A faint radio wave traveling for thousands of years across the stars, fragile and almost meaningless, yet carrying the hope of an entire species. Maybe, somewhere out there, someone has heard us. They haven't answered. Not because they don't exist, but because they're waiting. Maybe they want to see if we're ready, if we're mature enough to understand their reply, or if we're still just children throwing stones into the cosmic ocean, listening for the echo. Each time we send a message, the universe stays silent. But that silence is an answer, a gentle reminder that before we seek the stars, we must learn to listen to our own planet, the one that breathes beneath us, trembling, fragile, longing to be cared for. Because perhaps the most terrifying thought of all is not that they might hear us, but that they never will. And in that silence, we'll face the truth. We have been shouting into the dark forest, only to hear our own echo fade away, dissolving into the endless night of the cosmos, leaving behind one question that lingers forever in space. Should we have spoken at all? There's a quote from Stephen Hawking that once silenced the world. If humanity stays on Earth forever, sooner or later we will go extinct. He didn't say it out of pessimism, but out of clarity. He saw what most people refuse to admit, that our planet, the cradle of life, is nothing more than a fragile island adrift in the cosmic ocean. It's beautiful, blue, full of life, yet so delicate that a single event, from the cosmos or from ourselves, could reduce it all to ash. When we look back at Earth's history, we see how close life has come to disappearing again and again. Meteor strikes, solar storms, global ice ages, all reminders that existence here has never been safe. Dinosaurs ruled this world for tens of millions of years, and then vanished in just a few days when a rock from the void struck home. Humanity, no matter how intelligent, is not exempt from that rule. But today, our greatest threat doesn't come from space. It comes from ourselves. Artificial intelligence is evolving faster than we can control. Nuclear weapons still hang above us like a blade. The climate is shifting. Resources are dwindling. The environment grows more toxic every day. One mistake, one wrong decision, could bring our civilization to its knees within a single century. Hawking believed that to survive, humanity must leave Earth. Not to abandon it, but to expand. To become a multiplanetary species capable of living beyond a single fragile world. Only then could we be safe from the inevitable catastrophes that await any one planet. That journey has already begun. Humans are returning to the moon, once a symbol of dreams, now a gateway to deeper space. Prefabricated modules have been designed, small homes that can be shipped from Earth and assembled automatically on the lunar surface. Their walls will block deadly radiation. Air and water will be recycled, and solar panels will draw power from the pale silver light of the eternal sky. From the moon, the next destination is Mars, a red, barren, frozen planet, yet one that once held water. Nations and private companies alike now look toward it as a potential second home. Scientists are planning underground cities where air, water, and food are produced in closed systems. Plants will grow under glass domes, artificial light will replace the sun, and every drop of life will be sustained by intricate technology. But Mars is no paradise. Its atmosphere is thin, its radiation deadly, its nights colder than -100 degrees Celsius. To truly live there, we must transform the planet itself, a process called terraforming. Some dream of giant mirrors orbiting overhead to reflect sunlight down, or of triggering geological reactions to release carbon dioxide, thickening the atmosphere and creating an artificial greenhouse effect. Over centuries, the ice would melt, water would flow, rain would fall, and the sky would turn faintly blue. One day, Mars might have rivers, forests, and wind sweeping across its crimson plains. Yet that transformation could take thousands of years. Humanity will have to adapt long before Mars adapts to us. The first generations born there may never see a lush red paradise. They will be pioneers, living in sealed habitats, farming in narrow chambers, teaching their children to look at the sky through thick glass, telling stories of a distant blue planet that was once called home. And when new generations of starships emerge, not built of metal, but of living material, capable of self-repair and regeneration, humanity will go even farther, beyond the solar system itself. These ships will carry thousands of people, entire generations who will live, give birth, and die aboard vessels traveling for centuries, even millennia. They will never see Earth again. Instead, they'll live inside vast chambers filled with artificial forests, flowing rivers, and circulating air. The ship itself will be a moving planet, a self-contained ecosystem drifting among the stars. Children born there will be taught that their home is moving, and that the sky isn't something you look up at, it's something you live within. Those travelers will become generation voyagers, people whose journeys stretch across lifetimes, whose destination exists more in memory than in map. They will not know soil underfoot or rain on their faces, but they will know how to adjust orbits, repair the hull, and tend crops in zero gravity. Their entire lives will pass in the slow heartbeat of the great machine, listening to the hum of artificial wind and basking in the light of their man-made suns. And perhaps, when those ships finally reach a new world, the first to step down won't be Earthlings anymore. They'll be the descendants of those who left, adapted to weightlessness, genetically altered, physically transformed, and mentally evolved. They'll carry only faint memories of the home their ancestors came from, a place of oceans, forests, and clouds. To them, Earth will be a myth told in the dim glow of a vessel drifting through the Milky Way. Maybe, far in the future, after they've colonized hundreds of worlds and built cities that float between the stars, they'll turn their gaze toward the solar system, see a tiny blue dot among billions of lights, and wonder if anyone still lives there. Because leaving Earth is more than just a physical migration, it's a spiritual evolution. It forces us to understand that we don't belong to one planet, but to the universe itself. The death of Earth, whenever it comes, is only a natural part of the cosmic cycle. But if humanity keeps moving, carrying our knowledge and memories to other stars, then even if Earth is gone, our species will live on, in new forms, in new worlds. Hawking once said, "Life is so rare and precious that it should not be confined to a single planet." Perhaps that was his final message to humanity, that leaving Earth is not an act of escape, but the deepest expression of love for life itself. One day, when we look up at the night sky, those blinking lights above might not just be stars, but the ships of our descendants, carrying the dream of a green world, a dream that began in the place we once called home, Earth. In the story of the stars, humanity often imagines that the evolution of intelligence follows a straight line. The smarter, the more advanced, the farther we go. But the universe doesn't play by simple rules. Perhaps not every civilization is meant to reach the end. Some rise too fast and burn themselves out. Others stall, fading quietly into silence, like a candle flickering out in a sealed room with no way out. Cosmic thinkers call them stalled civilizations, worlds that once burned bright but froze midway through evolution, unable to move forward, unable to return. There are countless reasons why a civilization might become trapped. The most obvious one is self-destruction. When intelligence grows faster than control, when technology races ahead of morality, prosperity turns into a ticking time bomb. Nations, corporations, ideologies clash endlessly. One spark, one weapon of mass destruction, one rogue AI, or one mistake in a lab, enough to erase an entire world. Some civilizations make a different choice. They turn inward, sealing themselves off from the rest of the cosmos. They reach the stars, then stop, not out of fear, but out of understanding. Each step further, they realize, means losing a piece of what made them human. So they withdraw into perfect, closed worlds with no war, no hatred, but also no ambition. Their planets become self-sustaining machines. Their people live in artificial bliss, a paradise that hums quietly, yet feels empty. And then there's a more terrifying idea. What if these civilizations didn't choose to stop, but were made to? In the vastness of space, there could exist cosmic superpowers, empires that have evolved far beyond human imagination. They control the energy of billions of stars, travel instantaneously, manipulate space and time as if it were a game. To them, young civilizations like ours are toddlers, too naive to be trusted with the universe's power. If such superpowers exist, they might have set boundaries, zones younger species aren't allowed to cross. Each star system could be a monitored sector, surrounded by energy barriers or invisible fields that trap signals within. We call it the observable universe, but maybe that boundary is nothing more than a cosmic fence built by someone else. Through that lens, the Fermi paradox, why hasn't anyone contacted us? Suddenly feels chilling. Because maybe the answer is that they don't want us to know we're being contained. A civilization advanced enough to control the cosmos could easily regulate interstellar communication, filtering what every world can see or hear. Each planet becomes a laboratory where life is observed, tested, even manipulated. Some civilizations are allowed to thrive, others kept primitive, depending on the experiment. Much like how humans once divided the Earth into colonies, exploiting weaker nations under the pretext of civilization. History repeats itself. Every great empire once controlled smaller lands, dictated laws, censored knowledge, decided who would progress and who would stay behind. Now scale that up to a galactic level, a hierarchy of worlds where technology is distributed in layers, and a young civilization like Earth is just a single link in a massive chain. Some theorists even suggest that UFOs are part of that monitoring system. They're not here to greet us, but to check on us, to ensure we don't cross forbidden lines. Any breakthrough that could tip the balance, quantum energy, self-aware AI, faster than light travel, might be quietly stopped before completion. Perhaps that's why humanity always seems to approach great discoveries, only to stall. Projects vanish, inventions disappear, scientists go missing. History records them as coincidences, but maybe they're fragments of a long-established order. Of course, this is only speculation. Yet if it's true, the universe isn't as peaceful as we imagine. Freedom to evolve wouldn't be a right. It would be a privilege, granted by those with power. Countless worlds might be locked away, limited, confined within invisible cages. They still evolve, but only inside the box someone else built for them. In science fiction, there's a recurring image, the golden cage of the stars. A civilization wrapped in wealth and comfort, yet forbidden to ever step outside. They have everything, energy, food, peace, but they lose the most precious thing of all, the will to dream. Without curiosity, without wonder, the mind grows cold, civilization stagnates, then fades away in serenity. Maybe countless civilizations have already met that fate. They reached the peak, then froze there forever, unable to go higher, unable to return to who they once were. They became monuments no one remembers, drifting cities of light in the cosmic dark, those faint, strange glimmers our telescopes sometimes catch and label as anomalous stars. The irony is that to escape being trapped, a civilization must confront its own fear. It must dare to step beyond safety, to risk loss, to keep searching for meaning. Humanity is no different if we retreat, cling to comfort, refuse to explore. Earth itself will one day become just another golden cage. Stephen Hawking once said, "The greatest intelligence is not in control, but in transcending oneself." Perhaps the truly great civilizations aren't those that rule over billions of stars, but those that dare to break free from their invisible prisons of fear and complacency. Maybe what makes humanity special is precisely our restlessness, our need to explore even when it's dangerous, our hunger for answers even when there may be none. That yearning might be what keeps us from becoming just another trapped civilization. In this vast universe, countless worlds may have vanished, but some wanderers still remain. Those who never stopped, even when faced with endless darkness. Perhaps that is the true path of evolution, not domination, not immortality, but the courage to keep searching, knowing we may never reach the end. When humanity left Earth, the first fleets of starships departed with the unshakable belief that they were opening a new era. They carried with them memories of a blue homeland, songs, languages, and photographs of the familiar sky they once called home. They reached the moon, then Mars, then beyond, to where alien stars shimmered in colors unknown to earthly eyes. Yet every step outward was more than a conquest of space. It was a quiet division within the human body and soul itself. The first generation to set foot on distant worlds faced challenges science had never fully predicted. Different gravity, radiation, atmospheres, sunlight. Their bodies were forced to adapt. Skin darkened, eyes grew larger to see in dim light. Bones thickened or lightened, depending on the gravity they lived under. Over centuries, these small adaptations accumulated until they became written into their genes. Geneticists on these new worlds began to intervene deliberately, reshaping DNA for better survival. On a dim, frozen planet, they activated pigmentation genes so the skin could absorb more energy. On a world with low gravity, they elongated bones, making the body lighter, the movement easier in thin air. Every planet gave birth to its own version of humanity, no longer replicas of the original. Then language began to drift. Small groups spoke in isolation, their voices molded by air pressure, sound frequencies, and technology. They invented new words, abandoned old ones, and slowly the so-called common tongue became unrecognizable. A century passed, then 2, then 5, until the descendants of Earth could no longer understand the words of their ancestors. Culture followed the same path. One harsh planet bred discipline and emotional restraint. Another, peaceful and fertile, nurtured art, poetry, and sensitivity. When the distance between stars is measured in light years, such differences can never truly be reconciled. Time moved on. 1,000 years, 5,000, 10,000. The first travelers became myths. Earth, the first home, survived only as a sacred story told in history books, a legend of the cradle where all life began. Then, one day, two human civilizations met again. An expedition from one star system detected a signal from a distant world, an ancient colony abandoned for millennia. When their ship landed, they found intelligent beings, articulate, technological, living in cities of glass and light. But their forms were unfamiliar. Tall and slender, their skin silver, their eyes deep and black, their heads bare and smooth. Their speech was slow, their tone like echoes underwater. The explorers, hardened by high gravity, were shorter, sturdier, bronze-skinned with angular faces. They looked at each other. In the eyes of the other, each saw something hauntingly familiar, as if gazing into a mirror fogged by 10,000 years. They tried to communicate, to find common ground, but language, symbols, thought patterns, everything was different. Neither could understand the other. They took notes, analyzed DNA, and concluded this is an alien species, remarkably similar to humans. They didn't know they were studying their own long-lost kin, the descendants of the same origin. That story of humans becoming aliens to themselves might not be mere fiction. On a cosmic scale, 10,000 years is a blink. Tiny genetic shifts over eons could transform one species into another, especially when adaptation happens across hundreds of unique environments. Some futurists believe we are already on that path. Space travel, they say, will fracture humanity into divergent branches of evolution. Those living in low gravity will grow differently from those on dry, cold worlds or beneath dim suns. After a few thousand years, these groups might no longer interbreed, their genetic codes drifting apart. Technological progress may accelerate the split even more. Once humans can edit their own biology, choose skin color, redesign body shapes, add new senses, becoming another species is no longer science fiction. One planet might pursue technological evolution, merging body and machine, their minds woven into networks of energy. Another might remain purely organic, attuned to nature, valuing emotion over logic. Each world follows its own path, like branches of a cosmic tree stretching into the dark, and somewhere between those branches, the original human slowly fades from memory. Strangely, across all these civilizations, a faint legend may endure, a tale of the first people. An ancient race from a blue planet who once saw the real sun, who walked on real soil, who knew love, fear, and dreams. The story might be told in hundreds of languages, each with its own variations, but sharing one belief, that the first humans were the ancient gods who seeded life among the stars. And one day, when these worlds meet again, they might realize the ultimate irony, that the aliens they sought across the galaxy were none other than their own ancestors. Humans reborn in different forms at different times. Then the oldest question of all would lose its meaning. Is anyone out there? Might never have a clear answer. Because that someone could be us. Changed, evolved, forgotten, yet still human in spirit. When you think about it, evolution isn't just a story of biology. It's a story of memory. Every time humans adapt to survive, they leave a piece of themselves behind. Someday, when our descendants are scattered across the Milky Way, each carrying their own fragment of memory, they might return to Earth, find it barren and silent, and wonder, did anyone ever live here? And if they find the answer, it may move them to tears. For they will see themselves, reflected in the faces of those who began it all, who dared to leave the first home to scatter the seeds of life among the stars. In that moment, the circle will close. The aliens will realize they were never truly alien. They were humans who went too far, lived too long, and forgot the first words of their own language. Perhaps that is the destiny of intelligence. The farther it travels to seek answers, the closer it comes to its origin. Across endless forms and worlds, one thing remains unchanged: the longing to understand, to connect, to know we are not alone. And maybe, somewhere out there, a creature looks up at the night sky, sees the faint light of ancient Earth, and whispers, "Is anyone out there?" never realizing that the same question once rose from here, where the story first began. There are nights when the sky is so clear, you can look up and see countless stars scattered across the vastness. Among those billions of tiny lights, somewhere out there, might be the true beginning of us all. Perhaps life on Earth didn't rise from the soil beneath our feet, but from microscopic seeds drifting through the galaxies. Particles carrying within them the miracle we call life. This idea is known as panspermia, seeding life across the universe. It's the hypothesis that life didn't just appear once in one special place, but was carried and spread like dandelion seeds on the cosmic wind, traveling from one world to another. These seeds may have come from comets, asteroids, or clouds of interstellar dust, falling onto young planets with the right conditions, where they could take root and bloom into the first living beings. That simple yet profound question, where do we come from, might have an answer that lies beyond Earth itself. On the icy surfaces of comets, scientists have found traces of complex organic molecules, amino acids, carbon, methanol, even compounds related to DNA. Substances once thought to be unique to Earth are scattered abundantly throughout space. When those cosmic rocks collide with young planets, the impact's energy might destroy their outer layers. But deep within, something precious could survive, a hidden spark of life waiting to awaken. In experiments on Earth, scientists have exposed bacteria, spores, even seeds to space-like conditions. The results are astonishing. Many organisms can survive for years amid radiation, vacuum, and freezing cold. Life seems to possess an unyielding instinct to endure, as if it was built not just to exist, but to persist, no matter what. There's a famous story about a meteorite called Allen Hill's 84001, discovered in Antarctica. It originated on Mars, blasted off the planet's surface millions of years ago by a violent collision, drifting through space until it finally fell to Earth. Inside, scientists found tiny structures resembling fossilized microbes. No one could say for sure, but the possibility was enough to shake the world. Could life on Earth be the descendant of life that once thrived on Mars? If that's true, then everything we know, all creatures, all people, every tree and flower, might be the result of an ancient journey, a seed sent from a long-lost world. Maybe life didn't begin on Earth at all. Maybe it was delivered here, where it continued to grow, evolve, and learn how to breathe, how to walk, how to dream. And billions of years later, those same beings would look up at the stars, gazing toward the place where they truly began, unaware that they were looking at their original home. The panspermia hypothesis isn't just a biological story, it's a philosophical one. If life was seeded from beyond our world, then perhaps it wasn't an accident. Perhaps it carries a purpose, one that humanity has yet to understand. Imagine an ancient civilization, intelligent enough to create life itself. When they realized that nothing lasts forever, that their star would die, their planet would fade, they might have sent their seeds into the cosmos so that life could continue elsewhere. Tiny organisms set adrift through space, sailing across galaxies, waiting billions of years to fall upon a young planet blessed with water, light, and air. Millions of years later, those seeds sprout, evolve, and eventually give rise to conscious beings. Beings who one day look up and wonder, who made us? That question echoes across the ages, like a message sent backward through time, a seed calling out to its sower. And perhaps Earth today is continuing that same mission. As humans launch spacecraft into the void, carrying microorganisms, soil, and traces of our biology, those fragments of life begin to spread. Maybe someday, a piece of Earth will be blasted into space by a cosmic impact, carrying our bacteria through the darkness for millions of years until it lands on another world. There, life could start again, evolve, and once more ask the timeless question, where did we come from? Life, then, isn't just a miracle. It's a chain of inheritance. Each living world is a link in an endless stream where life never truly dies, it merely changes form, moving from one realm to the next. Perhaps humans are the carriers of the next seed, the ones continuing a mission that began long before us. A mission not of conquest, but of creation. Not to claim new worlds, but to light them with life. The question, are we alone, might be the wrong one, because if panspermia is real, we were never alone. Every living thing, wherever it may be, is our kin, a child of the same ancient source, scattered across the stars by the grand design of the universe. Maybe the idea of God that humanity has sought for millennia is a metaphor for that origin. Not a divine being, but the first spark, the one who sowed the seeds so that the universe would never fall silent. When you think about it that way, there's something beautifully gentle in how the cosmos works. It doesn't need words or plans, only a single dust grain containing life, falling into the right place at the right moment, and life finds a way to grow. Like a tiny plant sprouting from a crack in stone, reaching for the light, simply because the will to live is stronger than the dark. Maybe that's the essence of life, not just to survive, but to spread. To begin again, every time it ends in a new form, carrying faint memories of distant stars, and perhaps somewhere far away, another being is looking toward Earth, wondering the same thing we are right now. Could we have come from the same speck of dust? In the silence of the universe, that question needs no answer. Sometimes, just knowing we're part of something greater is enough to make existence feel meaningful. We might be nothing more than dust drifting through a sea of stars, yet within each speck lies the story of the cosmos itself, the memory of lost worlds, and the hope that life will never fade away. Maybe all of us, humans, trees, microbes, and creatures on distant planets, are just seeds continuing a story that never truly ends. A story of life, with no beginning and no final chapter, forever flowing beneath a sky full of stars. Have you ever wondered about that moment? The moment when a faint signal, lasting only a few seconds, crosses the vast emptiness of space, traveling thousands of light years before finally reaching human ears. A sequence of sounds unlike any known frequency, neither cosmic noise nor mechanical interference. Something ordered, rhythmic, structured. A voice from beyond. For decades, scientists have been listening. From the Arecibo Observatory to the massive telescopes of China, giant antennas slowly turn, like enormous ears straining to hear whether the universe is speaking. They call it SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Not to chase flying saucers or alien creatures, but simply to listen, to see if somewhere within the ocean of static, someone is trying to reach us. According to protocol, if a suspicious signal is detected, the person who finds it cannot announce it right away. It must be checked, verified, compared against every possible natural or artificial source. Maybe it's a satellite, a passing aircraft, a signal reflection, or a technical glitch. Each possibility must be eliminated one by one. Only when no other explanation remains can the discoverer alert the global scientific community. That's when the SETI protocol begins. A cold, methodical series of steps designed to prevent humanity from falling into chaos. Other observatories are mobilized to confirm the signal. Data is shared between nations, though deep down, no one is entirely sure any nation would truly want to share such a discovery, because once confirmed, that news would be the most significant in the history of humankind. And then comes the question that chills the air. What do we do next? Do we respond or remain silent? Some scientists believe we should answer, a simple reply, encoded in mathematics or rhythm, showing that we understand. Others warn that responding could be a grave mistake, because in space, there is nowhere to hide. When you reply, you reveal your position. You tell them, "We are here." Stephen Hawking once said, when Europeans arrived in the Americas, they didn't bring good things to the natives. Think about what might happen if a civilization millions of years ahead of us finds out where we are. Would they come to shake our hands or to harvest us? Imagine that moment. The entire planet holds its breath. News networks cut their commercials. Every screen flashes the same message. We have received a signal from an extraterrestrial intelligence. Some would cry, some would pray, some would laugh in disbelief. Others would pack their things and flee the cities, fearing this might be the end. Yet inside research labs, observatories, and underground data vaults, hundreds of scientists would keep working, decoding every sequence, every pulse, as if listening to a strange piece of music whose melody they have yet to understand. Suppose the message isn't a greeting, but an instruction, a formula, a blueprint, a set of directions. Should we follow it or simply observe? Some philosophers say that first contact isn't an event but a moral test. It reveals whether humanity has matured enough to listen without fear, to understand without greed. Perhaps they won't even use sound. Perhaps their message is written in light, in neutrinos, in gravitational waves, forms of communication far beyond our current reach. Then the challenge wouldn't be technical, but cognitive. Do we have the intellect to comprehend them at all? Their language might not be words, but structure, geometry, rhythm. The only thing both sides could share is mathematics, the true language of the universe. A sequence of prime numbers, or the pattern of pi, could simply mean, we know. And perhaps we would answer with light, a coded pulse, repeating over time, carrying within it images of Earth, the position of the sun, strands of DNA, the sounds of laughter, ocean waves, and crying infants. A fragile message, yet one that holds the entire story of humanity. Still, contact isn't only about science. It's about psychology, faith, and philosophy. Once we know we are not alone, every belief on Earth would shift. People would question God, purpose, and the meaning of existence. The borders of nations, religions, and power might begin to fade. Because in that moment, we would all become one, planet Earth. But maybe things unfold differently. Not a signal, but a presence, a silent object appearing in orbit, saying nothing, simply watching. What would we do then? Fire a warning or send an invitation? Could the nations of the world agree on a single response? Or would we descend into argument and fear? One wrong message, one hasty move, could ignite a conflict we could never undo. Some believe first contact won't come from the skies at all, but from Earth itself, from something that's been here all along, buried deep beneath the oceans or trapped within ancient ice. If that's true, our first reaction wouldn't be wonder, it would be fear. Because sometimes the silence of the universe doesn't mean no one is there. It means they're waiting, for us to grow wise enough to understand what comes next. Still, whether the signal arrives tomorrow or in 1,000 years, one thing is certain, that moment will redefine civilization. It will teach us something both simple and profound, that we are not the center of the universe. We are merely one of countless beings trying to make sense of existence. Maybe they won't speak with words at all. Maybe they'll make us look inward. First contact will not just be a conversation between two species, but the instant humanity finally sees itself reflected in the mirror of the cosmos. And one day, perhaps, the signal will come. A short pulse, a flicker of light, a steady rhythm breaking the silence. Then, a voice echoing through the collective mind of humankind. We have heard you. In that moment, the entire history of Earth will shift course. It will no longer be the story of humanity, but the first chapter of intelligent life in the universe. Sometimes, in the depths of sleep, we see strange images. A city that doesn't belong to Earth, glowing beings, or a voice echoing through endless space. We wake up and think it was only a dream. But what if it wasn't? What if those dreams didn't come from our imagination, but from somewhere else, a parallel universe brushing against the edge of our own reality? The idea of a multiverse was born from science itself, when physicists realized that the laws governing our universe might be just one possibility among countless others. Our cosmos allows liquid water to exist, light to travel at a fixed speed, and time to flow in one direction. But elsewhere, light could be solid, time might run backward, and space could bend like a living, conscious being. Each universe is a melody vibrating at its own frequency, and we can only hear the song of the world we inhabit. Some imagine universes as massive bubbles drifting through an endless void. Each bubble is a closed world, capable of touching or drifting apart. When two bubbles graze each other, the boundary blurs, energies mix, and sometimes leave faint scars, what we call supernatural phenomena. Strange lights, shared dreams, memories that belong to no one, might all be leaks of information between two layers of reality. If there are beings living in another universe, they may not come from distant planets at all. They might exist right beside us, hidden beyond the limits of human perception. Just as we cannot see radio waves, hear ultrasonic frequencies, or touch photons, perhaps they are here, separated from us by nothing more than a thin veil of existence. In a universe where light is the essence of life, beings might not need physical forms. Emotions could shimmer across their skin as living auroras, breathing colors that pulse like thought. They wouldn't speak through sound, but through rhythms of light, where each frequency carries an idea, and every change in hue expresses a feeling. That world might be called Luminarion, the kingdom of living light. There, existence isn't measured by time, but by the brilliance of consciousness. The brighter a being shines, the higher its level of awareness. Death isn't an ending, but a dimming glow, a return to the cosmic ocean of energy. Perhaps the luminarians have learned to travel across dimensions, not through spacecraft, but by tuning the frequency of their own energy, slipping free from the three-dimensional confines of space. When they pass through the cracks of reality, they appear as flickers, shadows, or streaks of light across our vision. Some researchers suggest that encounters humans describe as seeing aliens, or ghosts, are brief collisions between universes. In those fleeting instants, two frequencies overlap, and our consciousness catches a signal from elsewhere. Then everything vanishes, leaving behind only a whisper of memory. I saw something. But what's more astonishing is the idea that they might already be communicating with us, just not in a way we recognize. Perhaps not through radio waves, but through dreams. When we sleep, the brain shifts into slow wave patterns, its frequency lowering, its boundaries softening. In that window, the line between reality and illusion fades. Neuroscientists call it the window state, when the mind is open to foreign signals. If a civilization understood this mechanism, they could send messages directly into our dreams, gently, like a drop of water falling into a still pond. So when we dream of luminous cities, voices without sound, or eyes that see through us, maybe those are not illusions, but fragments of the first contact, made long ago in the quiet of sleep. Interdimensional communication wouldn't rely on language, but on emotion. Fear, peace, awe, and joy might be their form of speech. Every feeling that washes through us could carry information we haven't yet learned to decode. Perhaps when we feel unconditional love or a sense of oneness with the universe, we are resonating with their frequency. The idea of aliens becomes small in a multidimensional cosmos. Extraterrestrial only makes sense in a three-dimensional world. Beyond that, there is no outside or inside. They might not be far away. They might just be on the other side of the mirror of reality. Some theories even suggest that in the moment of death, human consciousness doesn't vanish. It slips into a neighboring universe. There, time flows slower, energy purer, and memory survives as light. The soul, then, could be a multidimensional traveler, not lost, merely tuned to another frequency. From that perspective, the universe is not divided by distance, but layered by vibration. Life is not rare. It is the natural expression of energy itself. At low frequencies, it becomes matter. At high frequencies, it becomes awareness. And between those two states lies the realm of miracles. Perhaps that is where we meet, between light and shadow, between dream and reality. If these beings can cross dimensions, they don't need to fly to Earth. They only need to shift their frequency, step across the veil, and appear briefly in our world. A flash in the forest, a sudden chill, a whisper in the mind. All could be greetings from another dimension. The question, then, is no longer, where are they? But with what eyes will we see them? Maybe humanity has already made contact without realizing it. Every dream of a place not on Earth, every fleeting sense of familiarity with the unknown, could be a reminder that the universe is not just vast, but deep. So when you close your eyes, when the noise of the world fades away, perhaps in that silence, you're hearing the whispers of Luminarian, the voices of beings made of light, sending a gentle message through invisible waves. We are not far away. We are only on another frequency. When you are quiet enough, you will hear us. And maybe one day, when humanity stops searching the skies with telescopes and begins to listen with consciousness itself, we will realize that first contact happened long ago. Every night, when the sky grows still and the world falls quiet, people look up, as if waiting for an answer that never comes. From colossal observatories, scientists listen for the faintest whispers of signals, fragile as breath. And in faraway countrysides, someone still sits on a porch, gazing at a single star, wondering if someone out there is looking back. The universe has existed for over 13 billion years, a number that defies human comprehension. In that vast span of time, perhaps millions of civilizations have risen and vanished, swallowed by their own worlds, lost to war, or simply erased by time. They may have sent messages, their hopes cast into the cosmic sea, but by the time those signals reach Earth, their senders are likely long gone. It's also possible that among the countless stars, we are the first. Humanity, a flicker of light, just intelligent enough to ask questions, but too young to grasp the answers. Maybe we're the first to learn how to listen, yet still too inexperienced to speak. In the ocean of space, we are like a child who has just learned to look up, calling eagerly into the dark, hoping someone will answer. The silence of the cosmos frightens some, but comforts others. Because perhaps within that silence lies the very answer to our fear. Maybe life does exist out there. They've just learned something we haven't, to stay silent in order to survive. Some theories suggest that every civilization, upon reaching a certain level of advancement, faces a choice to reveal itself or to hide. In the dark forest of the universe, where every civilization is a hunter armed and alert, the one who speaks first may be destroyed. Perhaps those beings out there understand this all too well, and that's why they watch but do not reply. We send signals. They hear, they observe, record, and wait. Maybe they want to see if humanity can rise above its own nature, if we can last long enough to be worthy of that first encounter. Because through their eyes, we might still look like a species struggling with primitive limits, war, fear, and ego. Perhaps they don't see us with eyes at all, but through another kind of perception. They might see energy, billions of glowing dots across the cosmos. Among them, Earth is just a small, flickering spark of blue and gold, trembling, fragile. They watch it shift over time, sometimes brighter, sometimes dimmer, but never yet steady enough to earn their trust. So they wait, in the dark, patient, like adults watching a child learn to speak. It's also possible they've been here for ages, crossing boundaries we can't perceive. Maybe the ancient legends of gods from the sky are fading memories of that first meeting. But instead of interfering, they chose to observe, to see how far humanity could go on its own. The real question isn't, is anyone out there? But who will we be when they arrive? Because maybe what they're waiting for isn't a sign of technology, but a sign of true wisdom, kindness, compassion, and harmony with our own world. Perhaps only when we learn to treat one another and our planet with care will they finally answer. The universe is silent, but silence doesn't mean emptiness. It feels more like the breath of something listening, weighing, waiting for the right moment to speak. One day, when humanity stops asking who's out there and instead asks, are we ready? Perhaps the sky will respond. Until then, we keep looking up, keep listening, keep searching, because in seeking others, we are slowly learning who we truly are. Maybe out there, millions of civilizations have already gone dark. Or maybe they're still watching, hidden in the shadows, studying us the way we once studied tiny creatures in our labs. The final question hangs suspended in the endless void. Are they watching us? Maybe the answer is already here. They just haven't spoken yet, because they're still waiting to see if we're ready to listen.